Good morning everyone and welcome back into another episode of our LEGO Legend of Zelda custom set showcase, and today we're going to be looking at a set based off Skyward Sword Z0005 with 288 pieces. Wing Ceremony. And as I mentioned, today we're going to be looking at part Z005, the Wing Ceremony, based off Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword, a game which has not gone unappreciated in this series. It was the first one I played, and therefore holds a special place within my memories. And this set's going to come with 3 minifigures, and that's going to be Instructor Olan, Groose, and Link, as well as 2 loft wings, a couple of eggs, and a little platform aside. You can see the box art here, a smaller sized box. You can see the 2 birds in a mid-action, recreating that scene from the beginning of the game where eggs are thrown at you while you compete to get the bird idol, which kind of marks your graduation in universe. And this set will be rated 9+, and will cost somewhere between £30 and £35. So let's get that description out of the way and then take a closer look at the pictures. So, soar into the sky in the new LEGO The Wing Ceremony playset. Ride one of 2 loft wings as you compete for the bird statue, or race your friends to find out who's the best flyer. With wing, leg, head and tail articulation, you can play with your loft wing in the stables or the sky. With 3 minifigures, you can create the story and unlock a world of potential fun, with others or on your own. P.S. There's some filler too. That's not something they've actually put in the description, but I think it's fairly funny to point out, as when I was actually designing this set, as you can see here, with the 2 birds and the little island, I thought the birds would fill out the piece count, but no, I had about 70 pieces left to go, and instead of just leaving it as an under-pieced for high-price set, I decided to go a little bit extra and put somewhere for Instructor Olan to stand, as well as include the bird statuette that you're chasing for on a pedestal down there too. Take a closer look at that in a minute, and here you can see 3 minifigures, just like I said, Olan, Link and Groose, but we'll come back to those in a minute. So, the main play feature of this set is obviously going to be the 2 loft wings, and that's obviously a very similar trope that we see in a lot of different LEGO sets, stuff like Jay and Lloyd's velocity races, and things like that, where there's 2 vehicles in a set that you can obviously race. Dual Speed Champions, that's another example. And compete, or just have 2 of, so you can have your antagonist and your good, or basically whatever you're at. It just adds more options to the playability. And not only while these birds can be swooshed, you can also see here you've got some neck articulation, all 3 of the feathered wings move, the ball joints here kind of move as well, so that you can actually sort of flap. The legs move so you can land them on different surfaces, as well as the tail. And taking a closer look at the other build in the set, because both of the birds are just colour swaps, we have the little platform here. Now this is meant to represent one of those diving platforms in Skyloft, which you can jump off to then go summon your bird, and I've put the eggs on here because there's no really way to put them or way to launch them. I was going to include a launching feature, but Groose just throws them in the game, so it would have seemed a bit strange to put a stud shooter, and the build for that would have been really awkward as well. Over on the left, you can see a new exclusive colouring for the owl piece to represent that kind of teal bird statue that they have, and it's just such an obscure piece in such a small set that they would not make a new mould for that. I've talked more about this before, so I won't mention it now, but there is a mould budget for this wave, and Groose's hair took up the spot for this set. There's also just some basic rocky build-up, as well as an olive-coloured plate at the bottom, and this detailing for like kind of support straps for the takeoff platform. We have the red loft wing, which belongs to Link, and you can see I've used some sloping to make the beaks, as well as these quarter-round pie pieces on the eyes. You can also see this wedge point here, which kind of creates that 2-toned look on the bird. I'll show you some references in a minute, and get another look at that joint articulated neck. On the back here, there are some studs so that you could stand up a figure if you wanted to have them standing, and there's also a bracket piece here just behind the wings, which allows you to lay them face down into the bird as if they're clinging on for dear life. The colour scheme I chose here were the kind of golden yellows for like the claw parts and beak and things, red and white. The wings are accented with cool yellow. You'll also see a Nexonite shield as well as some more slopes on the tail to kind of create a simplistic yet good looking tail design. Here I tried my best to Photoshop my Skyward Sword link onto this bird. It doesn't look the best, but I think it gives you a good idea of what I meant about the bracket piece on his back. And as I mentioned earlier, we have a colour swapped variant of the bird as Bruce's, because all the birds look the same. The only real difference is the colour and her necklace, which I could not put on this bird. You can also clearly see the bracket piece here, as well as the colour scheme I chose for this was grey and white, with dark red accents and a green eye. You can see that Nexonite shield, some more sloping up the bottom, and I forgot to mention his underbelly earlier. It's a similar design to the Thunderbird from Newt's Case of Magical Creatures, except for it's very heavily modified for this purpose, and I'm actually really pleased with how they turned out. Taking that closer look at the figures, just as I promised, here we have our generic Link from Wave 1, Link, Hero of the Sky from Skyward Sword, holding yet again that Goddess Sword and a shield with the Hylian logo on it. He's using the same headpiece from the Fire Sanctuary and the Castletown People Pack because they would not make a new one, or at least more than 3 in the first wave. As I said earlier, there's a mould budget I have to listen to. No leg printing, although maybe dual moulded legs would be more suitable, and let's move on. Next up we have the first of the 2 exclusive characters to this set, which is Instructor Olan, and he is reusing Galadriel's hairpiece from Lego Lord of the Rings, as well as one of the nicer dress pieces, which I talked about in a video recently. Has some printing on the front, because these dress pieces really do deserve to be printed on, as well as his little necklace and his shirt and scarf. Overall, simplistic figure, but a nice odd one that I got to include, and I'm pretty pleased that I get to include so many obscure or just lesser loved characters in this mock showcase. And finally, we have the figure that most of you are probably here for and most people would probably buy the set for, would be Groose, one of the most charismatic characters from across the series, let alone Skyward Sword, with an exclusively moulded hairpiece just for him. He is damaging my mould budget fairly severely here. Some dual moulded legs with some printing to represent his trousers, his belt, simplistic blue, and his kind of collar thing. He's also wearing some brown gloves and has that smirk, yet some fun, respectful expression on his face, which I think would please a lot of people to add him to their collection. Not to mention the 2 beautiful Loftwings, which, as they are sentient, yet again we have them here, hand-drawn in the flesh, brick, pen, computer. Anyway, here they are, and it's very similar to the others, so I'm not going to linger too long here, but there you go with the reference material, showing you that the eyes are blue, the accenting on the wings, the flat nature of the tail, as well as the yellow legs. Here is the case again for Groose's Loftwing, and if I was doing this again, I would probably change the beak colour to dark tan, add a plumage on the top, and a necklace piece as well. But I did not think of that at the time. At the time, I thought there was no variation between them, and I hadn't done much research, so you'll have to excuse me on that, and let's move on to the model in studio. Right, and here we are in studio, and as you can see, I used another one of those forced perspective tricks to line up that big shot on the front of the box, and there's not too much to show you here, just because most of the pictures covered all of it, but I wanted to give you more of a look at the underside of the birds. You can see that that recessed ball joint behind these wedge plates allows for more of an actual like neck feel in the attachment. You can also see the ball joints down there and how I attach the tail. Got an even clearer look at the bracket piece, which all of the figures would be attached to. And let's just go zoom back over. And here you can get a closer look at that bracket piece which I used to attach, as well as the stand-up area for when Groose is throwing the eggs. Moving on over though, I want to take a more detailed look at this piece over here, which you cannot see from many good angles on the hero shot, so I thought I'd show you more of that scaffolding, the way the step-up works using one of the 1x4 panel pieces, as well as a close-up on that brand new owl colour for this set, which is just sat on one of those 4-sided snot bricks on the middle and just has some simple rockwork built up to about a 1 brick height on the top. A nice simple filler build which I don't think anyone would particularly hate, and it gives somewhere for that Olan figure to stand. And then lastly, just before heading to that conclusion, I'll show you the exact color swap on the red. It pretty much is the same as the Groose Loftwing, and I think that's pretty much does it for here. So let's go ahead and sign. So anyway, that's going to do it for this week's custom LEGO Legend of Zelda set showcase, and I've hoped you enjoyed this re-dive into Skyward Sword for a definite cool take on one of the more interesting and unique sequences across the game franchise. I think the minifigures in this one are really cool, and I'm particularly proud of the Loftwing design. It took me a while to come up with, but I think I got there in the end. Anyway, talking about next week is going to be set Z0007, and this is an interesting one to take on something beloved by Star Wars fans,